The therapist, I'd like to just get you to focus on the eyes, please. Just look straight into my eyes, not round the eyes, in the eyes, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you're under. Now, when I next click my fingers, you will all agree that this is the best presentation you've ever seen. You will ignore all of my mistakes I'm going to make. And that's it. With that said, then we should be all right. Okay, so as I start, I'd like to play a short video because, as Julian said, obviously from Deb, leaders in what we do, but just to give you a little bit of credentials of why we feel that we're able to partake on this knowledge and hopefully can give you today.
Our hands are how we connect with the world. They wave and they point. They gesture and feel. They hold, they hug. They stroke and they touch. And when we're at work, our hands lead the way. They build, they hammer. They plane and they saw. They install windows or hang a door. They treat and cure. They comfort and care. A constant reminder that someone is there. They wire, they drill, they weld and they mill. They peel, cook and chop. They harvest the crop. To package, to milk, to change, to fix, to write, to prune, to print, to mix, to give, to take, to quarry and mine, to cut, to wash, to scrub, to carry and guide. They clean and they calm, they serve and they drive. Every day they go through a lot, getting grimy and dirty, cold, dry, wet and hot. We must take care of our hands. They create so much. But most important of all, they are our human touch. To keep hands healthy and clean, to protect and then restore, for over 80 years it's what we've done. It's what we believe in. That's what DEB stands for. So whatever work hands do, make hands matter in the workplace.
Okay, so hopefully that gives a little bit of introduction of who we are. So, as you can see, making hands matter. That's what we're about as a company. That's what we try to, that's our mission, is to get people to understand that making hands matter. Of course, touch, as it said in the video, is one of our senses. There are more receptors in the fingers than anywhere else in the body. So it's an extremely important part of our hand. You see the slide behind about PPE. Most protection is visible. Hard hats, gloves, high vis, boots. All these things to protect you or protect the people from things coming at them. But with hands, it's the only part of our body we do actually put in harm's way. So we have to protect them. But making hands matter. But of course, with all this PPE, protection is visible. But with our products and with creams, protection creams, restore creams, soap, it's all invisible. So even when people do put on creams, the protection is still invisible. But why should we care? So there are two key challenges when it comes to protecting the hands. One is the spread of germs and infection. Second one is the occupational skin disorders. So let's explore these two a little bit deeper. So if someone asked you how many germs are transmitted via your hands, would you know the answer? Probably not. There's a lot, isn't there? There's a sobering statistic right there. 80% of all infections are transmitted by the hands. Every minute we touch up as much as 30 objects. The spread of bacteria and infection can be on anything that we touch. You've come in here today, you've touched door handles, you've touched chairs, you've touched bottles, you've touched serviettes, you've shook hands with people. it's all possible, isn't it? That's how it spreads. And of course, this time of year when colds and flu are rife, we try our best to avoid that spread of infection. And of course, in the workplace, telephones, door handles, keyboards, tools and machinery, hot desk in areas, all rife. So we're going to start off with a practical test. And I should say at this point, you'll be able to do, I'm just going to pick on a couple of people as well, but you all have a chance to do this at the end. I'm ably assisted today. I've got a local friendly distributor called Spot On Supplies. So I wish they could be more glamorous, but they do come cheap. So at the back we've got Mark and Phil. Okay, so they'll be assisting me today. So if you've got any questions, they'll also be able to help. So to demonstrate about washing your hands, can I ask two volunteers? Okay, madam, will come forward. And another one? Just one more. Come on, sir. Right.
I kind of wish I hadn't done this because I am a nurse, and if I do it wrong,
You can't come up with excuses before we start.
I thought I'd get them in there anyway.
Right, so what I'm going to do, the test we're going to do with you today, this is called, this is a UV cream. So I'm going to put a little blob on your hand, you're going to rub it into your hands, and then I'll show you under the UV light to show what it's like. This is meant to mimic what germs and infection can look like. So
I also wish I'd put my alcohol
little
gel on
bit on the back of the hand. Now rub it all in. So rub it all over.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll. Right. So I don't know if anyone can see that. Do you want to hold your hands up so people can see? See all that white on there? And the white there. So that's to replicate what germs and infection can look like. Right, I need 3 volunteers each for each of you.
Okay, do we
Can I
just
just
go and
have-
grab people then?
Yeah, go just pick someone up. Just a quick one. Okay. You've done it already. Shake hands, yeah? Do you want to come up, madam? So these are, you want to come up, sir? All right, so she's that lady's shaking your hands, is she? Okay, so let's have a little look here. Oh, so there you are. See how she's infected you already? There's the white cream right there. Wow, she's pretty bad, isn't she? Look at that. And let's have a look at you, madam. Oh, see those bugs he's just given you?
Not that.
On what hand? There was just that hand, wasn't it? Did he shake your hand, sir? Yeah, see, it's all there, isn't it? So, we can do a little test now. Oh, and you, madam, where you? Right, oh, look at that. What a horrible man. Right, so just a quick thing. If you please just kindly go to the toilets, wash your hands as you normally would, and then come back. I'll entertain the people with a little song. No, I really won't. So I don't know if you all got to see how easy that was to spread that cream from person to person to person. And of course, if you touched the table, chairs, it'll all be there, and that's how the spread of infection. You can see how easy it goes. We all know this, don't we? But it's a great little test to highlight it. So we'll hopefully have a little bit of fun humiliating them when they come back, just to see how well or how poor they wash their hands. Has everyone washed their hands this morning? Whew. Right. Now, apparently, it's common amongst business leaders that the worst presentations are ones that start with facts and figures. So in a minute, I'm just going to start my presentation with a series of facts and figures to hopefully highlight some of the things I'll be saying here today. At the end of this presentation as well, you'll have a chance to have a go at that test. We have it all set up at the back there. That's why we've got Mark and Phil from Spot On to help me. We've got another little test as well later, which I'll show you. There's also some little samples for you to take away as well, okay? But that's at the end. was trying to do this as well. I had some little facts and figures on here. It's 2 back already. I see they're not rushing back. Come forward, let's have a little look. Let's see how you got on.
I'm the first to get shown up.
Yeah, you're the first to get shown up. Which hand was it?
That's the one.
Oh, look at that. 9 out of 10. Back of the hand. Oh, you missed a bit there, look, see? It's just to the side of the hand by the little fingers. You can see where that's missed. Okay, all right. Which one was it, sir? That one?
Both of them.
It was both of them, was it?
Yeah, you.
He did touch you up. Look at that. So you've got the back of the fingers there, still with it on around the fingers.
There.
See around the back of the fingers as well. And a little bit on the fingers there. Palms all right, a little bit on the thumb.
Yeah.
And there we are. See, it's still there a little bit, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so let's have a look at you. See, it's still there on the side of the hands there. And a little bit on the fingers. Who's next?
Wash their hands properly.
Everyone so far. Right. That doesn't look too bad, does it? Little bit there on the finger, look.
Yeah, it's
Down
probably
the front of your fingers.
fingers.
Ah, the door handle, see?
Yeah.
You washed them well, but you picked it up on the way out. See, it's not too bad. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
30.
So you see, so that's still there. Who's next?
It was interesting opening the door with your elbow.
Oh, see, it's still all over your palm,
Yeah.
your wrists there. That's
And I
heavily up
washed my
there.
wrists as well.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit on your fingers and your knuckles as well. Okay, so still a little bit there. Can you all see that?
Just
Still a little bit there. Bit on the fingers you can see there. Okay, was there anything on the back? Oh yeah, some little bits there. And last one, sir. See a little bit on the fingers there. There we go. See, so still got cream on there. So you can see how easy that is to spread. And of course, if you don't wash your hands properly, then of course that's what can happen. Thank you, sir. Please take a seat. Thank you. So that's quite a powerful test. Here we go, more statistics. Let you absorb that for a second. So did you know only one in 5 people that visit the toilet don't wash their hands? You've probably seen them as you've been in there, coming out of the cubicle and just walking straight out, and you all go, ugh. Out of the people that do wash their hands, only 30% of those people use soap. So again, some soap and stats on there. Sick leave cost UK businesses £1.3 billion a year. And let's face it, we need all the money we can get at the moment, don't we? But is hand washing alone enough to ensure your workers' health? Is poor hand hygiene the only threat that's in the workplace? No, there is another threat, and that's what I want to talk about to you next. And this is a threat to efficiency, health, and well-being. Occupational skin disease, or I'll call it OSD from now on, it's a bit easier. Again, a couple of sobering statistics there. It's the second most common work-related problem. So it does highlight hand washing alone is not enough. Again, a lot of money. Statistics from the EU there. 40% of workers will suffer a skin issue at some point in their working life. 80% of workers with OSD experience impairment to their grip and over 50% to hand movement whilst at work. The ongoing average total cost of someone with an OSD, unreported, is about £2,000 a year. A reported case of OSD in the workplace can cost the employer around about £6,000 a year. So, making hands matter in the workplace. And you may have come across it already, but there is a compensation culture that's growing. I see it every day. Compensation culture is certainly growing in this country, and it seems like some people actively go around purposely trying to catch something so they can sue their employer. So again, 70% of blue-collar workers have clinically dry skin and consider it as a normal part of their job. I'll talk to you a little bit about skin condition, but this can change over the years if people are doing the same job over a period of time. And if they do have exposure to their hands and they don't protect them, then yes, over time their skin condition can change to obviously a worsening effect, making it harder to look after their hands, keep their skin healthy. So it's our job, it's part of our job to raise this awareness with people, to provide that education, to make skincare a priority at work. So what are the risks? The skin is not a complete barrier. Now, in part of my job, I visit businesses every day, factories, offices, and especially on the factory floor, this is a common thing that's said. They see it as just a part of their job. They just accept it, that is the nature of the work that they do. Some close friends of my family are hairdressers, but she employs nearly 100 hairdressers. And if any of you know your hairdresser quite well, then I see some of you might not. Then certainly you ask them, and it's a very common problem in the hairdressing industry that the various chemicals that they use damage their hands so much over the years that they have to give up their profession. So everyday workers are potentially exposed to irritating substances. This is an example of some here. Some you might be able to relate to in your line of work. So everyday workers are potentially exposed to irritating substances and conditions that can be both harmful to their skin if absorbed through the skin, reaching the internal parts of the body. That's when it can become very serious health issues indeed. So who's at risk? It's just some examples there. Hairdressers being one of them, as I just mentioned. But at the end of the day, everyone is at risk. Our hands are our tools. And like I said earlier, it's the only part of the body we actually put in harm's way. Whether it's at the workplace, whether it's doing jobs in the garden at home, it's the only part of the body we put in harm's way. So it's making hands matter. So this list is far from exclusive. Everyone is involved. Right, so many types of occupational skin disease. We'll start off with briefly with skin cancer. As you can see that stat there, 17% of all skin disease cases. So according to the Skin Cancer Foundation, 90% of all non-melanoma cancers are associated with exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun. So that's UVA and UVB rays. But of course in the workplace, with certain jobs, there's prolonged and repeat exposure to UVC rays, such as welding. And after years of that exposure, that also can lead to skin cancer. Plus, if they're handling carcinogenic materials, such as mineral oils, coal tars, and pitches, they all contribute to cancer development. So symptoms include irregular outline molds that change shape, change color, increase in size. It's something that's talked about quite commonly every year as soon as the sun starts to shine. But that's another common belief that people have. They believe they only need to apply sun cream when the sun is out. But of course, it's not. Because when the sun is out, it's all about the UV level. Now, at this time of year, we don't have to worry about UVA and UVB. It's not about. But generally in this country, it's usually April to mid-October that the UV level is above UV3, and that's when you need to start applying sun cream for that protection. And as an employer, if you have workers that do spend a certain amount of time outside, it is a duty of care that they should be applying sun cream. But as you can see from that stat at the bottom, 79% of skin disease cases are dermatitis. So I'll go a bit more onto that one. These are some symptoms of dermatitis. Now you may have observed these, maybe in yourself, maybe with people that you work with. So obviously it's far more common. And these can be caused by coming into contact with everyday substances. Right, there are two types of dermatitis: irritant contact dermatitis and allergic contact dermatitis. So contact dermatitis occurs when the skin reacts to a particular substance. So again, we might have all had this. So in the workplace, it can be common. I've seen it with people that are handling coolant. Again, their hands dipped in coolant, different types of solvent or oils. They can quickly cause discomfort to the skin and can actually be painful as well. But most importantly, it can be cured when it's a contact dermatitis. But if left untreated, it can develop into allergic contact dermatitis. Now that can take a matter of days, weeks, months, years to get to that stage. But once it's apparent and you become sensitized to that particular substance, that's there for life. It's no new condition that you have in your skin. And of course, this will be a lifelong thing to deal with. Before my job with Deb, I was selling protective gloves. And one of the common things there was selling disposable gloves, mainly nitrile. And it was a very common thing out there for people to wear latex gloves. Now you may or may not know there's been a growth in allergens with people developing allergies to latex. And it's one of those situations where people wear latex gloves for years and years and years, because 20 years ago that's all you could get. But one day they could put the same gloves on that they've been wearing for 20 years, and then boom, a reaction can happen. And that reaction can be from a mild red rash to the ultimate anaphylactic shock and death. There is a case with Marks and Spencer's where one of their employees died from an anaphylactic shock. Turns out when they just dropped down dead, but when they went back and looked at it and sort of dug deeper into what it was a reaction he had to latex. But it turned out that latex was from a mushroom farm where they were buying the mushrooms from. And so in most areas now, latex has been eradicated from the food supply chain because of that. So making hands matter. So skin disease is arguably the most common occupational disease, with occupational contact dermatitis accounting for up to 95% of all occupational skin disease. So how do we minimize the risk of this in the workplace? So a coalition of the world's most eminent dermatologists agree that hand washing alone is not enough and recommend the daily routine use of Protect and Restore creams. And they say it is essential to reduce the risk of occupational skin disease and to keep skin healthy. So we'll start off with Protect creams, or you may know them as barrier creams. We tend to call them Protect, because with the word barrier, it suggests you can do anything with it, with it on, because you've got a barrier. So, but essentially, that's what it's known as, barrier creams. And I'll demonstrate this in a few simple graphics. So, why use protective cream? Do you find you wash your hands at home more or at work more? Generally, it's at work more, isn't it? What protective cream will do is form that barrier, hence the name barrier, so it helps keep the moisture and the oils in your skin, prevent them from getting out, but it also protects any contaminants and infection from getting through. That's the idea of a barrier cream or protect cream. With that as well, the other benefit of that is that it's easier to wash your hands because the contaminants sit on the top, they're not sinking in. Because the best thing is for people to use the mildest soap possible for the job that they do. And wearing a protect cream makes it easier to use a milder soap because less contaminants have got through to the skin.
How much cream? I see this in building sites all over the country, but there's no instructions to how much cream you use.
Absolutely right, and this is all part of the education of it. But it's generally like a little 5p size. You saw the little blob I put on the back of people's hands? That's enough. Okay? You can be my guinea pig in a little test later on. Oh, yeah. So this is what healthy skin looks like. Looks like a brick wall, doesn't it? Bricks and mortar. So you see the skin cells, you see the purple, that's the mortar, that's the natural oils that your body produces. So when no protect cream is applied, that arrow is to signify various contaminants your skin comes into contact with. So that's washing hands, of course, when people wash their hands. It's exposure to the cold, to heat, to air conditioning, to being out in the workplace. So it could be oils, grease. So what happens is, as you wash your hands and you exposure to all those various things, your skin cells become laminated. They fall apart, opening up the pores there. So making it easier for contaminants to get in. So if you don't apply protect cream, those contaminants sink through into the mortar of your skin cells. Of course, this can cause infection, damage. So when protect cream is applied, there it is. That's the barrier I talked about. So contaminants shouldn't get through, so that your natural oils are kept in, contaminants are kept out. So making it easier to look after your hands, making it easier to wash, it's strengthening your skin, making it far better for you. Okay. So this expert panel of 8 international dermatologists combined their clinical experience, supported by evidence-based studies, to create a simple program for skin cream application in the workplace with a focus on driving down the rate of occupational contact dermatitis. The authors of the report, I'll mention in a minute, identified 3 moments for skin cream application in the workplace. So before starting work, during a working day after washing hands, and after each break. Before going back to work. So after each break, before going back to work. Now these 3 moments of skincare is now a universal standard that can be adapted to any workplace. And you can find further information with that website there, so you might want to make a little note of that. I know this is a bit of a busy slide, but it's just to highlight that Protect creams are specially formulated for specific applications. So when choosing a Protect cream, you have to think about the contaminants that your workers come across. Sometimes you can have one cream and it can fit all. More often than not, it doesn't fit all. So is the contaminants your people come up against, are they water-based, oil-based? Are they both oil and water? Are they dry materials? The degree of contamination, is it light contamination, heavy, medium? Consider the PPE they're using with gloves, etc. Because gloves, as you know, builds up sweat. Depending on how long they keep the gloves sore for, that bacteria builds up in the glove, of course goes onto their hands. Right, so that's protect creams. Right, let's move on to cleanse. And the people who came up earlier on, you want to pay attention to this. But we call it cleanse in Deb, but of course you and me call it soap. Right, so we've already explored the importance of washing hands earlier on and washing them properly, and of course paying attention to those frequently missed areas. And there was a common thread, I think, with the people that were kind enough to do that test. There was a common thread of where some of those missed areas are. So why wash your hands? I think we all know this. So that just again highlights some of those common missed areas. So washing your hands removes 90 to 99% of germs for healthy and clean skin. And as I said earlier, we should always use the mildest soap possible. So rather than dwelling on it too much, one little tip I will partake is when, if you do work in a heavier grime industry, and you use a heavy duty soap, it's best to put that on dry hands, on the contaminated dry hands. Rub that soap in and then add it to water. But of course, if you're using a mild, gentle foam soap, then yeah, it works better, lathers up better with wet hands. But other than that, I won't say any more. We all have to wash our hands. So again, washing your hands, pretty straightforward stuff. After work period, you know all these before eating, preparing food. You know this since you were a child. Last one, probably the most interesting one, is after wearing gloves. Again, I see it all the time for many years, visiting various factories and industries. There's a common belief out there that people feel that if they've got a pair of gloves on, that's it, they're 100% protected in what they're doing. But of course, as I said earlier on, right at the beginning, protection that we do, the 3 moments of skincare, is all invisible. So that's what's really important, is getting across to people who wear gloves, especially, to say that, yeah, these 3 moments, protection, this is invisible, and it's taking care of their hands. Right, where are we up to now? So again, one little tip on washing your hands. This was in the news recently where they said to sing happy birthday twice. So rubbing between all areas of the hands. You'll have a little go later. You can get more information. There's actually videos on there how to wash your hands properly. There's more resources on our website. There's posters you can put up in your washrooms. There's even videos you can watch as well. Okay, so that's soaps out of the way. Finally, restore creams, or as we call them, moisturising creams. So hands up, who's ever used a moisturising cream? Okay. Keep your hands up if you use one daily. Okay. So put your hands down if you're a lady. Right, okay, so we've got a few of you. But as you can see, it's not many fellas, is it, that use it on a daily basis. So what I'd like to do next is play a short video. Deb have interviewed a few actual working people, blue-collar workers around the country, so they've compiled this video.
I'm a bricklayer by trade.
Operator bandsaw.
Put down as a tool setter.
Printing cardboard boxes.
I work as a labourer on a construction site.
Stacking boxes.
Got a bit of hard skin around there. Typical kind of builder's hands.
Bleeding hands. You know, cracked skin and bleeding.
Just general wear and tear of just handling everything really.
House bricks and stuff.
The after effects of working with plaster leaves your hands quite dry.
If your hands are really sore, it does affect your grip on a box. Because you try to hold it in a different way where you're not going to feel any pain.
Not being able to make a cup of tea.
Well, if you've got infections on your hands, you have to be very careful. You can't give a baby a dummy.
Not being able to use knife and fork properly.
I won't be able to pick them up or, you know, get involved, interact with my kids or...
Creams are always available on sites generally.
There is a barrier cream you can use.
Doesn't smell very nice.
It was so bad and smelly.
It take a long time to be absorbed into the skin and they leave your fingers greasy.
Don't like the grease.
They don't soak in quick enough. Sometimes find a towel to wipe it, you know, wipe them dry.
I haven't found one that's suitable for myself. I like that.
It smells quite nice. Yeah, it feels softer already. It has, it soaks in straight away.
The smell of it, isn't it really nice?
Yeah, I could use that all the time.
There's nothing else I'd be looking for in a cream, to tell you the truth.
I think if you looked after your hands properly and you did use this sort of cream, I think it'd cut down on major issues at work, yeah.
Can I take this with me? It is very good.
So again, making hands matter. So can I please have 2 volunteers? You said you want to be one of my guinea pigs for this one? This is a nice easy one. This is another little test we're going to be doing at the back at the end. This measures, this little medical tool here, measures the water hydration in your skin and the oil level content in your skin. So it just gives a bit of an idea of how hydrated you are. And then we put a little bit of Restore cream on and see how that makes a difference. So, come on, just 2 volunteers. Up you come. Okay, so I'll go through the stats. In the back of your hand, sir. Right, trying to avoid the hair bits. Well, that's probably that. Okay, so your hydration level is 30% water. Ideally 40 to 45%.
Are you telling me I'm a big drip or something?
No, not yet. You're a little bit under, so you're all right. No, it should be about 40 to 45%, but 30 is not too bad.
Okay.
Your oil content's 13.5%. Should be aiming for around about 18. But again, it's not too bad at all. It's a decent amount. So what I'll do, go to the back of the hand. Right, don't do anything with it yet, just, so I'll do this with you. And you, sir, let's test you. Got to work yet? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you're a little bit dehydrated, sir. So you've got 13.7% water. So again, it should be around about 45%, 40 to 45, and 6.1% oil. So hopefully should be around about 18. Okay. So you've got a little bit there. So again, a little back of your hand. I'll do the same as well. So this is how we generally apply cream. It's always on the back of the hand. We don't put it on the palm because that's the sweatiest bit, so instantly it'll mix with the sweat. So you then start spreading that all around your hands. It's not going in sufficiently. So the back hands, do you want to do this? So back of the hand, flip like that. Once it's all in, you then do in between the fingers, like that. Make sure all the nails are done. Feels like back to front, doesn't it? Yeah. Make sure the nails are done. Round the thumbs like that. just a general rub over the hands. Okay? So we won't just test it yet because that's obviously still sinking in a little bit. How does that feel on your hands already?
It's better than fairy.
Sorry?
Better than fairy.
There we go, better than fairy.
Bit sticky.
Bit sticky. Okay. It'll sink in pretty quick though.
Do more rubbing.
That's right, it sinks in pretty quick. Okay, so if you want, thank you for volunteering, but after the presentation you want to come up, hopefully your levels should have gone up. So that's essentially how you put the cream on. Of course, great little test to have and see where you are at the moment, but we'll have a little go at that later, all right? We're at the back of the room. So there's our healthy skin again. But of course, what's different with Restore creams, the Protect creams are applied in exactly the same way. But of course, whereas Protect creams are formulated to sit on the surface of the skin, Restore creams are designed to sink in to your skin, to replace that lost hydration, that lost moisture. So again, when it comes to selecting creams, it's not straightforward. There are things to consider. What skin type are you? What's your skin condition? Yeah, myself, I get dry skin. So this time of year, when it gets cold, my skin goes particularly dry. So I use a more intense cream. That's a very light one. So in a workforce, that might cover most people, and that's my experience working with Deb. That product there, it's a light moisturising gel. That'll cover most people, but there are obviously a few then that's not man enough for them, so they need something a bit stronger. When to apply Restore cream? You can't apply it enough in a way, so just apply regularly. But if there's some key points before a long break, so during the working day, it'll be just as you possibly start your lunch, for example. But most importantly, if someone had to do it just once a day, most important is after the working day. Your hands are exposed to so much during the working day. All the conditions it comes into, all the things you say wash your hands more frequently during the working day, you come in contact with contaminants, etc., etc., etc. So if anything, restoring that moisture at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So even if people just did it that one time on the way home, you've made a real big difference in helping them making hands matter. And again, there's that website for the 3 moments of skincare. So again, it's a bit of advice there of when to apply a 5p shot. That's what we did on the various creams we tried today. And that's just a graphic of how we did it. So remember that, so when we put a little blob on you later, you can have a go, okay? One important key thing with these creams, it's not just enough to have them for staff to use. 2 key things to consider. The location of the creams, they need to be accessible for them. Washrooms aren't always the most accessible places for them, even though that's the most common place that they go. And yeah, it might work there. But a lot of people might not even go to the washroom when they come to work in the morning, might go straight to their desk or to their station. So having creams in the most convenient places. So some examples there, in changing rooms, clocking in machines, into work, at the worker's entrance, the door there to the worker's entrance. So make it appropriate, accessible, more importantly, easy for people to use it. The second part is the education part. Because again, having these creams in place is great, but if people don't know what they're for and why they should be using them, they never will. So we have to continually provide that education to people. And that's a big part of my job, is providing that education to people, why they should be using the creams, the importance of using the creams. So even a therapist, I talk all about positive future. So again, same with applying the creams, is bringing that positive future, keeping your skin healthy. your hands will look better and feel better, more healthy for the rest of your life. If you're unsure what kind of products to use against contaminants or skin types, then of course just ask your supplier, and they'll always go to whoever they go for the best advice. All right, so there's always people there to help you. Okay. So again, hand washing is not enough. So in summary, we've got 3 moments of skincare. Before work, protect, during work after washing hands, and the restore cream after work. So having a hand hygiene and skincare system in place for your workplace. Don't forget the 3 moments of skincare. Please look that up. It's having the right products in the right places, and that continual education and monitoring. So you can always go to our website, www.debgroup.com/UK. There's a wealth of resources on there for all these areas. And of course, any questions, you can always pick up my card at the back, and I'll always do my best to help you. But there's plenty on the website for you to download. And in closing words, is protect your hands, keep your skin healthy, and make hands matter. So thank you for listening, and when you're ready, we can have a little go at the little test at the back and see how you get on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Right, do we have
So you've talked a lot about hands. I wondered if you have got any thoughts about other areas of the body, because in some industries, you talked about UV, for example. People will be, their faces and lips and so on will be affected by things. Do you have, I appreciate you haven't necessarily come prepared for this, but do you have any views on things like, lip salves and facial stuff? We talk about putting on sunscreen and stuff like that.
Yeah, when it comes to sun cream especially, that can be applied to any part of the body. Of course, there's guidelines to avoid the eyes and things like that, but generally on the face, the thinnest parts are the tops of the ears, bridge of the nose, and underneath the eyes there. That's some of the thinnest parts, and that's where some of the damage occurs first. If you see watching the poor performance of the cricketers at the moment over in Australia, you see some of the white stripes that they have there and come down the bridge of the nose. That's the most thinnest part of the skin, so that's where the UV damage will first occur. So so creams can be used on anywhere else in the body, no problem.
next one?
Hello, I just wondered how good are the kind of alcohol-based cleaners that actually you use without water, and how damaging are they?
Well, alcohol-based?
Yeah, there are a lot of things. Yes.
Like the
Hospitals,
sanitizers?
but also actually outdoor workers I've seen in places that will use those because they haven't actually got wash facilities close by.
Right. Okay.
So they're using those, and I just wanted to say how good are they at cleaning, and how damaging potentially could they be to the skin?
Sanitizers do not clean hands. Sanitizers should be applied to clean hands only. Because if you think about it, you're just literally, if you do have that, imagine that layer of contaminants on the top of your skin. With alcohol, you're just literally just blending them in. It's not actually cleaning the hands. The sanitizer is to be used on clean hands only.
So how does that work actually in a hospital, where they're always encouraging people to do this and they go
to wash their hands, and you don't have access to water?
Well, if you go to visiting hospitals, the wards will now all have these hand wash areas. Well, they're not hand
Yes,
wash, they're sanitizers.
they're sanitizers, yeah.
As you go into the hospital areas, the front doors, and I just wondered.
Yeah, I presume there's a presumption that people come into hospital with clean hands. If you've just got the basic bugs on it, like the sort of mimic infection that we tried earlier on, then that's the kind of thing that sanitizers will kill. So that's fine. But of course, it's if you do have some kind of So sanitizers will kill that. We got a sample sanitizer to take away as well today. One of the common things with sanitizers And of course, at this time of year with colds and flus, hand washing alone can reduce that spread of infection for colds and flu up to 45%. With a sanitizer, of course, it can be a lot more. One of the common complaints I hear about sanitizers, especially with the gels, is that it can dry out the skin. And that is a common problem with gel sanitizers. Ours is a foam. That's what we use. It's a foam sanitizer. So that actually moisturizes the skin. We guarantee it doesn't dry out the skin. It has a very, very high kill rate. But yeah, it actually moisturizes the skin as well, so it actually keeps your skin healthier. So have a little try of that and see what you think. But generally, yeah, sanitizers should be used on clean hands only.
Thank you, mate. On the video with the guys that you just shown,
yes,
and on their various occupations and all that, this is not a question, it's more like a statement kind of thing. Shouldn't the emphasis, because they've been in their jobs for obviously years, by this, by looking at the video, and they're complaining about their hands, shouldn't the emphasis be on the company's occupational health and employees to give advice at an early stage in the work,
yes,
rather than waiting till this happens? So should the emphasis be on occupational health and employers, which is health and safety law as well, to get their new employees or existing employees, depending on what occupation they are, to comply with,
comply with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, and in a way it should be part of everyone's induction, as part of their induction, applying these creams. It's a common problem we found in construction sites, for example, that the guys there, they're just not used to wearing creams. So with some of the bigger contractors now, what we've worked with, they have a meeting every morning. The foreman is doing his speech. So every morning the foreman will say, "Have you applied your protection cream?" Or if it's in the summer, they say, "Have you applied your sun cream?" So it's giving that responsibility to the foreman to make sure that all his guys are wearing the protection cream.
They must be provided as well.
Yeah, they're providing it as well. Yeah, but it's like I said earlier, it's great that you've got the products in place, but you have to give that education to people as well. And even better when you've got the foreman saying, "Put it on or you're not going out." So it's even better then. They're doing the right thing for their workers.
Are there any risks in not removing the protection cream? Obviously, you block the pores up deliberately. If it's not removed afterwards, does that cause any problems?
When you wash your hands, that protection cream is taken away. On the slide earlier on about protection cream is when to apply them. One of them was, before work. The next stage is after every time you wash your hands. Because when you wash your hands, you are taking that barrier away. But of course, you've still got that moisture underneath. So when you wash your hands, remember the heavy sodding comes off easier because it's sat on the top. So you're using a milder soap. So you're not depleting that much of the natural oils of the skin. So always apply to the dry hands after you've washed them. So before work, after washing hands, and after breaks, when you go back to work. That's the time to apply them.
I work for Carillion Construction. We have a DEB board app where it tends to have the protection cream, 2 soaps, and the barrier cream.
Yeah.
You just talked about milder soaps. One of them has got, it appears to be like plastic ball bearings in it, beads for heavily soiled hands. You talked about milder soaps. Is there a difference between those 2 soaps on that board?
Yes, there'll be a lighter soap. There's a heavier duty soap and a lighter soap. So quite often you'll see them where, if you do use a Protect cream, then people could generally get away with the lighter soap. Those boards are often in places where the office staff as well share the same toilets as the sort of factory floor workers, for want of a better word. So they'd use the light soap as well because they don't have that same contaminants.
Yeah, we've gone to the version, instead of microbeads, it's got crushed nuts in it. Sorry, yeah, it's got crushed nuts in it instead of microbeads.
Thanks. Yeah, you've picked up 2 points there. First thing, I just want to talk you back through the step process and just ask a question. So you've got the protect, the kind of the cleanse and the moisturiser. But on the protection side of things, where it says, you know, do it after washing your hands and before breaks, wouldn't you encourage people to use the moisturiser in between that? Is there a time period, say, between washing hands, moisturising, and then reapplying the protect? And the second thing is about, like you say, there is now a shift away from microplastics in response to the issue that we've got within the environment and microplastics entering into the supply. So are there any other products like crushed nuts or things like that that can achieve that same debridement?
Being honest, I'm not 100% sure of the ingredients in that. I think it is more like the crushed nuts rather than anything damaging. Don't believe there's anything damaging environmentally in any of our products. That's one thing we're exceptionally sharp about. But yeah, as it said on the slide with the Restore creams, just apply them regularly. But of course, just being realistic, we can say to people, yeah, apply them regularly, but how often are they going to do it? The reality of daily life. So yeah, we can say apply it after during break time or after you wash your hands or something, but the Protect cream, because of course that sinks in, the Protect cream stays on the surface. So during the day, we'd mainly just say, yeah, apply the Protect cream, the Restore cream, beginning of lunch break, and most importantly, at the end of the working shift.
Do people still use the big tubs as that pink stuff they use in garages, Swarfiga?
Well, there's a Swarfiga.
Yeah, is that still used?
Yes.
Every time I used to go in motor workshops to do inspections, there used to always be a massive tub of this pink stuff. I've used it myself, but would you recommend the use of that still or not?
No, we still make it because there is whether it's tradition, that people still want that product. And we sell a lot of it, but we do encourage people to move more to a safer system. But some people are, yeah, I'm determined, I love my bucket of soap. But of course, you look at an open bucket on the floor, just God knows what's floating on the top of that.
Yeah. But apart from that, would you advise people to use it or not?
We always tell them of the risks. We tell them the risks of it, yeah, because obviously it's an open container. So it's not sealed. So you are going to get bacteria build-up on that soap.
All right, a new tin that's just opened then?
Sorry?
What if it's a new tin that's just opened?
Oh, that's fine then. But it doesn't take long to be contaminated.
Yeah. Okay.
Because one of the things we try to replace most in the workplaces that so many people have is this bulk fill system. You know, you've seen the clear containers on the wall with the pink soap. And that's one thing we're trying to eradicate, because that's one of the unsafest systems out there, because it's not a sealed system. And you can quite often see what you're meant to do with that is when the soap runs out, you're meant to take that dispenser off, wash it, sanitize it, put it back on, then put the new soap in top. But of course, what caretaker or whoever looks after it does that? They see that much left, they go, that needs filling up, pour it in. But you can actually quite often see the line of the contaminated soap and then the new soap on top. And it's because that bottom part has been contaminated, and it'll soon obviously contaminate all the new on top. And there's plenty of videos. There's videos on our website that show you just how those bulk fill systems are contaminated, and how easy they can be contaminated. Sorry?
It also sells more.
Yeah, because it's cheap.
So you wouldn't advise companies to use Swarfiga at all?
Not the bucket.
But if it was in a hand.
Yeah, if we do have dispensing systems for the same product, and of course our dispensing systems, they're sealed, so you don't get any ingress of any bacteria at all. It only comes out. Nothing goes in to contaminate it. So we always promote the seal systems that we do.
So there we have it. We will have a practical at the back in a minute and mince pies in a minute. I'll declare my interest. One of the reasons I got involved in this is because I have a